Welcome to this short video presentation of today's lesson for Unit 4, Day 2. Today, our topic is going to be generating some ideas from your past, from memories that you have of your life for your upcoming reflective essay. Before we do that, however, we are heading to into the computer lab to print a hard copy of your research paper and uploading your essay into UniCheck. If for some reason you are not with us in class today, I will not print them for you. So you have got to get that hard copy to me before I leave at 3 o'clock today. And remember, I have to adhere to all hard deadlines. So, for Slick. All right, for your academic notes, we are going to watch a short video. It's about 3 minutes long. It's entitled The Cycle of Reflection. And there's 3 parts to a thinking strategy that you go through once you come up with an idea in your mind of how to think about it critically, some event in your life. So watch the video, and in your academic notes, write those 3 parts. Make sure you leave some space in your notes so that you can write some more in a few minutes. So watch the video. Okay, now that you're back and you have those 3 little phrases in your note, I want you to think about an event from the last 24 hours and spend a couple of minutes each writing about that event using each of those phrases of the reflective thinking cycle. And if you are in class, we're then going to share with some classmates. To wrap this up, I have a quote by John Dewey: "We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience." And that is so true. I mean, we all go through different experiences every day, but it's only until we pause and think critically about those experiences. Do the experiences do us any good? To kick off our getting ready to write a reflective essay, I want to spend some time on the 4 essays that you read for our lesson number 1 in reflection. So think about those essays and some of the strengths and what you learned about good writing from each of them. The next set, remember last time I mentioned with one of the essays you read that a reflective essays brings in description and narration. But notice I put the word reflection in all capital letters. That's because that's got to be your number 1 priority with this essay, not to retell a story. To get you ready to do that, I want you to learn a few things about each of those aspects of your upcoming lesson. And so pause the video and read through the information I have on this slide about writing reflectively. Now, I put some things on here for you to think about writing in a narrative style. And then finally, I put some information for you on writing descriptively for this style. All right, now, in order to get ready for your essay, you're going to today's going to be a brainstorming session to think about a lot of experiences in your life using some different techniques that I have. And I have 5 of them that you're going to use. So hopefully by the time you get through with today's lesson, you have recalled close to 50 different events in your life or a series of events in your lives. The first one strategy is by using a book that I love. It's entitled The Last Lecture. Randy Pausch is the author of this book. He was asked to give a lecture as a part of a series at Carnegie Mellon in Carnegie Mellon, and entitled The Last Lecture. And so you're going to watch a short video of him with that lecture, and I put some of the key points of his message on the slide and why I like it. He breaks his book into a series of short little vignettes, short little chapters, and here's some of the things he covers in his last lecture. So each of those is little springboards to stories in his life that he remembers. And so with that in mind, I'd like you to start your list, your brainstorming list. Generate a bunch of episodes in your life that maybe you thought about when you were watching his video of his presentation, or when you look over this list. So I did that same thing and turned them into potential titles. Remember, a title for fiction is fun to write, actually. And so here's some ones from my life. Okay, the second thing that we're going to use to have you brainstorm some topics for your upcoming paper is to think of this concept of conformity versus non-conformity. I use the example of Vincent van Gogh and love this one of his paintings. Anyway, if you look through some of these bullets here, you'll learn a lot about him, but he never was famous in his life. But now we all would love to paint like Van Gogh. He didn't conform to the norms of the time period. He did his own thing. And so even if you didn't know the name of this painting, you could probably, if you look at some of Van Gogh's works, say that belongs to him, because he was a nonconformist. And so now what I'd like you to do is think about some of the times in your life where you either conformed and it kind of pulled against your heart, or you didn't conform and the consequences of what happened because of that situation. And add to your list. Here is a beautiful example of nonconformity. One of my favorite movies, Mona Lisa Smiles, is a story of this woman who goes to teach art in Wellesley College, and it takes place in the 50s, and so at this time it's all women college, and these women are all well-to-do, and they're basically there to find husbands. And the teacher kind of ticks her off from the sense of, there's so much potential in your mind, use it for that, but other things as well. And so watch this video of a time when she calls them out for just conforming to their predetermined roles of future wives and mothers, and being independent thinkers as well. All right, so hopefully you have quite a few things in your list. The third activity that I want you to do to generate some topics is to think of this quote from William Faulkner's. This is when he accepted the Nobel Prize. He talked about what motivates him to write, and he said that if I'm spending time writing anything other than stories that conflict with the human heart itself, I'm wasting my time. He said, because that's really the only thing that's worth all the effort and the agony and hard work of writing. So I'd like you to think of some stories in your life where what you were doing conflicted with what your heart was saying inside, and add that to your list. The fourth one, another way to generate powerful stories is to think of the word vulnerability. If there's one of the bullets I put on here is that as human beings, we are driven by connections to other people. And if we see others who are not always in control, if you will, we relate because we're not always in control ourselves. So it allows us to empathize and belong and connect with other human beings. And so think about this idea is vulnerability a sign of weakness or a sign of strength? And add to your list some times when you felt vulnerable. This page or the slide are some tidbits of other topic ideas that you can kind of go down the list and think. For example, the first time we do things is it's kind of interesting stories that we have or epiphany moments in our lives. So just use these titles to add to your list of other possibilities. So then, once you have done all of that, you should have a whole bunch of ideas. I'd like you to pick 10 of them from your list today and turn them into intriguing titles. And then from the 10, I would like you to pick 3 to spend about 10 to 15 minutes on each one writing. Mixing narration, description, and reflection during that time. Again, it's certainly a first draft, and so kind of set your timer for 10 to 15 minutes and get something on the page. Shoot for at least a half a page in that time period of something that's going on with 3 of those lists. So that will be 10. Next time, we will be talking about artifacts, and you will be adding to the list. And so then notice that you will turn this huge list in as an assignment on December 9th. And that's our lesson for today. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.